I've already brought it up. We'll use the official Nintendo Direct version. Yes, puppy? Do you want to watch this with us? Because I guarantee if you start barking, you're coming up here. All right, that's it. He's coming up here. All right. Here's a puppy. Puppy, you're going to watch this with us, okay? You're going to watch this with us. All right, here we go. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, you heard a light piano key? Okay, that's what you need. I couldn't see the desktop audio like actually functioning, so I wanted to make sure that it was working properly. Okay, we'll go back. Okay. Okay, so you heard it through me. I thought so. I didn't see the desktop audio indications going off, so there's definitely an issue there. Let me see if it's got to be something. Yeah, that's yeah, May 12th. That is a thing. That is happening. It's so strange. Desktop audio is just not functioning. I don't know why. Weird. Oh well. That's something for future me to worry about next time I have to use the computer to broadcast something. So, let's jump back and let's try and take this section by section. So first off, I okay, this line here, this line keeps getting me. I cannot help the fact that this line with the triangles, it gives it this dopey smile. Yes, puppy. Yeah. Okay. It just has this dopey smile attached to it. I think it's funny. I don't think it's supposed to be. I think, actually, it's supposed to be... this whole thing is supposed to be an eyelid. So that's like the full eye shape right here. And this whole thing is a carving. So it doesn't actually go like underneath whatever this headdress is supposed to be. It's just these are the eyes. So, yeah, it's now that I've pointed it out, you can't unsee it, but that's what we're looking at there. I know we're going to get back to that image, so I was going to go by. So, what we have here, obviously, we have the moblins and the bokoblins, and they're surrounded by all of this red stuff, which I'm guessing is the Calamity. And you can see it's overrunning the place. We have some regular people on the ground. We got this guy here. Looks like there's a soldier over here. And then, of course, we have all of this army trying to stand against it. So, signs of battle and war. So, nothing too surprising there. Okay, so we're back to this guy. Now we have a better view of him. My guess is that in the beginning of the game, we're going to be seeing a lot of these images. Because Zelda, being her archaeological self, is going to be like, ooh, look at all this stuff, Link. This stuff is incredible. And all that kind of thing. So we have this prominent figure with a very elaborate outfit. Seems to be gesturing towards... Yeah, like an old temple find. He seems to be gesturing out here towards these. If we let it... It looks like he's standing on a platform of some kind, which is interesting. And then... No, come back. One more. There. Okay, so we got 7 of these. The most common theory that I have seen so far is that these are tears. The tears of the kingdom, as it were. It kind of makes sense. It has that general tear kind of shape, if upside down. It's fairly similar to the tears of light that we have seen in... Twilight Princess and in Spirit Tracks. So there's a little bit of themes that have gone through. Also in Skyward Sword. They were in Skyward Sword too. So while not literally tears, they have some kind of significance with light or something like that. That means that this character, whoever this is, either these are real ears or they're just part of this elaborate headdress that goes down and covers part of the face and goes out. So, yeah, what is the being? It's got to be some kind of either a deity or a prophet. Some kind of prominent religious type of figure, I would say. Either that or some kind of royalty figure. Obviously, someone very significant in some design, because we got a very elaborate kind of outfit going on here, even without any kinds of markings to indicate what is jewelry, what is gold, or anything like that. This looks very ornate. And so, obviously, a person of extreme significance, and they are either gesturing to these tears as some kind of source of power, or at the very least some kind of significance. You'll notice here on the sides we have all these curly shapes on the sides. Yeah, so like this guy, this thing here, this one above it, and then these on the sides. These kind of look like clouds to me, which would make these lines either rain or rays of sunlight or some kind of light. So it's like these tears are parting the clouds, I would say. So definitely these tears are some kind of tears of light, like we've seen in previous games, and they're breaking the darkness and shining light upon the land. So if there's 7 of them, that's a pretty strong indication that we're going to be getting some legitimate dungeons in this game. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Alexandria. they're either going to be dungeons or at the or significant abilities that you get with each tier. At the very least, there's going to be several significant situations. Back to your comments, Siler. If the dopey smile is supposed to be the eyelids, does that mean that they're made to look like the eyes are closed? That's an interesting thought here. Let me go back to the close-up here, because if we consider these triangles to be eyelashes, that makes the eyes close with some kind of either tattoo or, like you said, coins sitting on the eyelids. So that would make it kind of look like, it's going like this. I don't know how well you can see like my arms. I'm miming what it's doing, but the eyes are closed, kind of like in reverence, which could make sense. That could make a lot of sense there. So again, either way, we know that this is a very significant figure, either a royalty or a religious figure, and these tears, most likely tears of light, are parting the clouds of darkness and shedding light upon the land. I wouldn't be surprised if this stuff right here, these hieroglyphs, this writing, would be a description of what's going on here. Maybe if we're lucky, Zelda will have some kind of background into this language and will be able to interpret it for us, so we have a better idea of what is going on as we begin this journey and discover what it is that we're actually supposed to do. So now we have this. Tears of light, not literal tears from lives lost or some dark stuff. We were having a discussion about that over on Zelda Universe. The idea that maybe Tears of the Kingdom could be a double meaning, because we have the tears, and then there's like the actual Tears of the Kingdom. Because if we've seen Zelda in previous trailers falling into a dark abyss. Maybe Hyrule is mourning the apparent loss of Zelda. My thought was it kind of depends on the time period between Breath of the Wild and this game, because if it's like right after, there's technically no kingdom to mourn her. It takes a long time to reunite a place that's been scattered for the last 100 years. It could be learning about whatever happened to this ancient people. People have been calling them the Zonai. I don't know enough about this kind of lore to be able to pinpoint how accurate that name is, or whether it's just something somebody came up with. I think it's legitimate. But regardless, obviously the Zonai people no longer exist, so something happened to them. We could definitely be hearing about their demise, which probably has something to do with the mummy exploding evil out of its chest. Yes. People have been asking whether or not the T-E-A-R is tears or tears of the kingdom. The word on the street, as it were, says that the Japanese reading indicates that it is crying tears. So, not rip tear, but tears. Though, seeing as we're getting several pieces of land just up into the sky, you could certainly read it both ways. Okay, let's talk about this. A lot of people are thinking this is some kind of Zelda-type female figure. I wonder. The reason why I wonder is because aside from the long hair, there's nothing particularly convincing to me that this is a feminine carving. We do kind of have a little bit of a dress look here, so it very well could be. Obviously, this isn't like Zelda, our Zelda, Fall into a Pit Zelda, because she has short hair. Not to mention, this is an ancient carving of something else that happened. So the question is, what does this figure have to do with what is happening now? Could this be a circlet? It could be a circlet. However, I have a different proposition for you. There is another creature or person that we have seen in these trailers thus far that has been in this position with long hair with a thing sitting on their forehead. Our mummified Ganondorf. Obviously, this is a lot better condition. And the mummified version doesn't really look like it has too much in terms of clothing. And obviously this one doesn't have evil exploding out of its chest. But it's a possibility. I'll also notice here that there are some red lines down here. Which, at the moment, the only red lines we have seen is the evil and the calamity. I don't know, if it was supposed to be like some kind of sacrifice or something. Barefoot is usually something that happens. Decorative anklets, by the way. Interesting. So, with just this picture in some kind of unidentified context, it's hard to tell exactly what is going on here. Obviously, this is some person of extreme significance, and they're either being offered up or something that is attached to that. Hello, Shimigamics. I am interested in what this is, just based on the... True, eyes are closed. Again, downward facing. Man, that really makes me look at this now, and it's like, oh yeah, this person's probably has their eyes closed, because these would be the eyelashes. I think that's really cool. That's a good catch. Anyway, this person over here, this looks like a leg to me, and a torso, and a belt. And then the start of their abdomen and chest up here. I'm interested as to what this is. But there's very little here to go on to identify that. Now, this here is interesting to me. We see the fullness of this background behind the title card at the end, so we're probably going to be able to get back to that. That's true. That's a good question. If... We'll come back. If this is Ganondorf, then this would have to be something else, and that's a big question. If this is Zelda, or this ancient version of Zelda, then it makes a lot more sense that she would be like offered up and the calamity is rising up to reach her and all that kind of evilness. Come back here, you. There we go. Okay, so this here, we have, again, I see two different potentials here. This could be Zelda. We kind of have the same kind of thing going on here like we did before, whatever this ancient Zelda was supposed to be, because we have the long hair. This looks more like dress-ish, particularly like a shoulderless, strapless dress, something that we saw Zelda wearing before. More engravings. There is, however, another option here. This could be a Link stand-in. The reason I say that is because of the arm we know that Link is going to get some kind of power in his arm at some point. And so there has to be some kind of exchange here between this figure and the figure on the other side. It's hard to see the person on the other side if we go to the title card. If we can get there. But it looks like the side view of the deity we see earlier, or the religious figure, whoever that is. So to me, it makes a little bit more sense that this is the partnership between our hero and this figure. So that makes the most sense there to me. Majora. I feel like it's going to be more closely related to the Sheikah than to Majora. Let's look at Majora's Mask. Let's look at this thing. The problem is the fact that the triangles are not really directly connected to the eyes themselves. So I have a hard time seeing Majora in this case. I'd say it's more closely resembling the Sheikah. How Zelda got her sacred power. I have a hard time with how Zelda getting her sacred power, just because we know that every Zelda is an incarnation of the goddess. The blood of the goddess running through her veins. That's divine power. She doesn't have to get that from anyone. So I'm a little less leaning in that direction. Where's Link's outfit? Because he has a bare shoulder. He has the thing on his arm. So there's definitely a difference that could make this him, even though just because they're facing, well, I guess for you all facing this way, you kind of think that's going to be the left arm because that's the left shoulder and that's how it's, kind of looking there. So I'm not sure how you can get the Twilight out of this. Not to mention, there are only 7 tiers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have a hard time seeing it. Now, they're all ancient statues. The Zonai statues were there for forever. The 8 heroines were there for forever. So you can certainly say that what they are trying to do here is explore those, like they said before, they wanted to explore ideas that they had to leave on the cutting room floor because Breath of the Wild itself was so huge. So no, I don't think it's the same. I have a hard time. Nah. Nah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. Like, I know what you're talking about. The major thing that people like to point to is this one right here on the back end. These twirling deals here. And then, of course, there's these kinds of little designs sitting right here. People have noticed, like, this right here with the snake type thing is mentioning the dragons from before. I don't see it. I just don't see it. For the simple fact that there was nothing in Breath of the Wild to really cement a real connection to Twilight. We had that one little mini quest over on the coastline, which was a fun little nod, but I can't see it as anything more than that. And then the Midna's head piece, which of course was just DLC stuff. Shimigonics, it's not a matter of reserving your opinion. They're going to explain it in the game, but at that point it's not an opinion, it's a fact. Whatever they say it is. Okay, so we have our door. We have the dragons thing again, so whatever this place is, we know it's sitting in the sky. Got to be connected to the Zonai people. So this is, of course, a little later in the game. Okay. Hello, Link. Couple of interesting things here. A, just the fact that we're up in the sky like this. This is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? That might be 8. We don't have the Sheikah Slate. I think that makes a lot of sense. Because we got to have our new cool mechanic. Dang it, I want... There. That's as close as we're going to get. So, just looking at this, there's an eye thing, which kind of... the kind of eye design that we've seen before. I don't even know what slow mode is. I'm surprised I can't go frame by frame. Like, I should be able to do that. Oh my gosh, that sounds hilarious. Don't come back here. Okay, yeah, that's as close as we're gonna get here. So, some different materials, different weapons, which is fine. Yeah, magic storage makes a lot of sense. My first thought was maybe that those could be like holding the tiers that we're collecting. I've been wanting a magic meter again, so I think that's a great way to illustrate that if that is the case. Lot of elevation that we're working with. Is it 6? I thought it looks more like he could get 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's come back here. There. Okay. So, yeah, I agree with you, Alexandria. Okay, so we have a lot of elevation to work with here, which we already kind of knew was going to happen. A lot more triangle. See, the triangles on the shield now make a lot more sense, seeing as we just saw a whole lot of engravings with a whole lot of triangles on them. Now this here, that's interesting. So there's obviously a lot of elevation to work with. This doesn't look natural. I know people have been saying that it kind of looks like it could be a temple of some kind. And I could get behind that. I'm interested in this guy up here. It looks like this thing is sticking down from below it. So I'm kind of wondering what that is. Which is kind of neat. Oh yeah, it could totally hold the Tears of Light. You know, the funny thing about the stone tower is the stone tower always looked like a weird cactus to me. I don't think it looks very stone tower-ish. Yes, the light balls. Let's grab... I think it was you, wasn't it? I think it was you. There was a part where there was... I'm not seeing it. Not in this one. Which is weird because this is the only other major one that we have. Now that's interesting. Because we'd seen this before. This kind of reversal, which very much mirrors... this here. So yes, there is definitely something going on where Link is going to be able to do some almost time shenanigans. Which, of course, what would Zelda be doing if not messing with time? It's just a thing that Zelda do. Now, we do know this area. The pine trees make it obvious where we're hanging out. Interestingly enough, it's where the Spring of Courage is, where all the Zonai ruins are. So it looks like that's how we're going to be able to make our way back up to all of this stuff in the sky after we come down for whatever reasons that we go. There's a lot of storm clouds going on here. Look at this. And then there's a lot of storminess going on in here too. Look at... So it's quite possible that there is a connection between storm here and then, you know, and then this kind of rainstorm in here. Farron is almost always stormy, that is true, but not in a tornado clouds in the sky type thing. Oh yeah, that kind of looks like snow, maybe. Or maybe it's just cloud particles. Interesting, you can see Link's magic-y hand like this. I'm kind of wondering how late in the game this is going to show up, or if this is going to be pretty early. Also, notice his hair is a lot longer here. Like, seriously, there's a major difference between... Let me get a better look at the back of his head. Look at this. This looks pretty normal for him. Compared to... See, look how normal that is compared to this. That's interesting. Okay. Couple of things to notice here. Jumanji, yeah. So, a couple of things to notice here. Here's Hyrule Castle. Obviously, we've seen this already, as it's pushing... Calamity's pushing the castle up. I noticed Death Mountain is on fire. Though that doesn't really look like normal fire. That looks like more of this. So, of course, we're going to have to go back and help the Gorons, because why wouldn't we? There's something going on over here. And based on our vantage point, if Death Mountain is there, that means that way is in the direction of the Lost Woods. That should be over there. Maybe in the Hebra Highlands. I don't think it's necessarily the Rito area. I mean, obviously we're gonna have to do something in the Rito area, but just the way that the angles are, how we are looking, we're currently looking out to the northeast, which means that way is looking at the northwest corner of Hyrule at best. Which is too far north of Rito Village to be of significance. Obviously, something is going to be happening with the Rito. We would not be just chucking the Rito off into the nether regions, but it's something. Looking over here, we have a small cluster, then we have a big landmass up here, and then of course we have the areas that we dropped to from earlier. And then from here, okay. So based on where we are right here, it looks like the towers are gone. It looks like the towers have either sunk or they've been ripped up and pulled up into the sky, because I'm pretty certain that's where a couple of these are. You can see Hyrule Castle Town, or what's left of it, sitting right here, which means that we're actually looking at Hyrule from the Rito area. So we're looking from about Rito and looking out eastward. We can see this is, I think this is Mount Iwata. So that's been torn up, and then this is the Thundra Plateau over here. And that's been torn up. The Great Plateau should be somewhere over here. Probably here. That's the plateau. So the plateau's still there. This is the canyon that should lead to Gerudo Desert. And yeah, we got this big Zonai looking mark on the ground here, which matches up with this that we see right here. So we got some major markings on the ground. Oh, look at that. That's not just a marking. That's a person. You can see the hand. Here's the hair. There's their face. It looks like their eye is closed. There's going to be some significant markings all over Hyrule that we're going to have to deal with. Okay, so that's not leading to the desert. The desert's on the other side of this. But yeah, there's the plateau. Oh, you're right. That is the Thunder Plains. That is very much the Thunder Plains right there. I remember all of these guys. No, the Fairy Fountain is not here. Since this is the Thunder Plains, the Fairy Fountain is going to be like, I think kind of like directly below us or close to it. Yeah, because there's the ranch, the stables, and then you head across the bridge and you head that way to where the Fairy Fountain is. That's a cool glider. Pet Rivali. It is quite a way to travel, going from hanging around everywhere to just being like, Silver Surfer. That's fun. I like that. Oh, look at this. Look at this down here. It looks like something is spiraling. If that's the case, that might be something that we use to get from the surface up top. Because we've seen green spirally stuff before. So that might mean something. I think I recall this plateau being like completely empty in Breath of the Wild. I think there maybe was a talus on it, but that was it. So that's kind of interesting. I really wish we could take this out. Get a better look at this. There are 2 tiers here. Yep, that's it. So there are 2 tiers here. We have our Link stand-in, or Zelda, not sure, and then our religious royal figure here. And they're joining hands. It's interesting there are 2 tiers here, though. If there are 2 tiers there, does that mean that... Are they representing just the 2 companions here in this adventure? Does each tier reside in these individuals? Kind of like how the Triforce was sitting in 3 different people? That's interesting. I think we're going to get at least one more trailer before it gets released, probably in March. So... maybe. There very well could be a Sage aspect to this. It's a question of whether these tiers are independently obtained or whether they are given to Link in some fashion. So it could be like the medallions in Ocarina of Time where they're given, or they are simply residing. There's definitely a Ouroboros kind of situation here, isn't there? So... yeah. Oh, where Lord of the Mountain is? That is right here. If I have my geography correct. Huh. Well, we certainly have an interesting situation laid out before us. You want to talk about the shield? I think we can do that. We saw the shield in previous trailers. There's a similarity between this shield and the bow Link has in this shot. So, they both look rather old. So, where's Link in... Okay, he still has it here. And that's a different sword. What sword does he have here? Does he have a sword here? I'm not sure. I can't tell. Yeah, it's an eye. That was apparent from the other trailer. Kind of see this here. Again, the same bow and the same shield. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to have this same bow and shield the whole time. It could just be the usual, this is what we are using. Because, here we are, normal shield, normal bow. Not the Master Sword. Yeah, the Master Sword has me concerned too. It looked like... My theory from before was that... Why do we not... Dang it. Because he has the Master Sword here. At the beginning. My theory was that the malice that is coming out of Ganondorf here, it takes a hold of the Master Sword and basically erodes it. So I'm sure part of what we have to do is restore the Master Sword. And that may ultimately be what the Tears of Light are for. After all, the Tears of Light is something Link had to collect in Skyward Sword in order to build himself and be able to use the Master Sword. So it's a possibility. And all of this is just speculation. So, wait a second. That's a big bat. Is that a bat? That has to be a bat. Unless it's something else. Oh my, that's large. Oh, don't get me started on Fi. Oh gosh, it makes me sad. Look at that. It's a little dragon. Well, one way or the other, May 12th, we'll be here. We will be here.